Well, hello and welcome back to Market Conversations. It's Friday. I'm Jerry, and I'm excited to bring you an incredible show tonight. I've got Rob from Digital Asset News sitting in the green room, just ready to come on. Tonight, I wanted to really bring a focus to, coming from a perspective of how crypto and the mainstream financial markets are starting to merge, right? We've got publicly traded companies now putting on conferences to entice, to educate, and enroll other publicly traded companies to use Bitcoin, whether it be for their profit and loss, as part of a business plan to get involved with Bitcoin as a business, or on their balance sheet to put Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. It's exciting stuff. I want to play this little clip between Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategies, and Mr. Russ Stevens, the CEO and managing director of Stone Risk Management. Also, pay close attention. They're going to talk a few numbers here. It's actually, when you really start to think of it, quite staggering. Once the clip is over, I'll bring Rob in and we'll get the discussion kicking.
Okay, $25 billion. That's astonishing growth, and it matches what I suspected, but I didn't know is going on with institutions and Bitcoin. Given NYDIG's role in the Bitcoin ecosystem, visibility into what all sorts of institutions are doing and how they're adopting Bitcoin. So what can you tell us?
Well, the one-liner is all kinds of institutions are adopting Bitcoin. Public companies, A and AA life insurance companies, AA P&C insurance companies today have more than $500 million of Bitcoin exposure through NYDIG. And I know for sure, because I'm not guessing, they're just getting started. And these institutions want to do more than just own Bitcoin. That's table stakes. Within a year, America is going to be able to get a portion of their income annuities paid in Bitcoin. Americans will be able to get a portion of their salaries paid in Bitcoin. You want that paltry interest on your CD paid in Bitcoin, you'll be able to get that too. There's going to be an explosion in Bitcoin-driven financial innovation. Another interesting phenomenon we're seeing in our book is exactly 0 clients have walked back their allocation. And that may not be true for other firms, but that's true for us. So once people get off 0, they either stand pat or they increase. Now, I don't want to overstate this. It's been a year, but that's what we're seeing so far.
Rob, wow. That is some impressive stuff. I will tell you, for a long time, I knew institutions were coming. I wasn't clear of the roadblocks they would have to get to crypto, but I knew the upside potential of this emerging space was too attractive for the big money to not eventually want to come into. I know, because I follow you like a hawk on Twitter and YouTube. You put out a lot of content this week following the Bitcoin for Corporations conference put on by MicroStrategies. What is your take on this? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Before I get into the thoughts,
okay,
tell me how I can send this link to everybody on my channel. Do I just go to YouTube? Because is this live?
Go to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I really am kind of a tech tart. I really don't know. You go to my YouTube channel, you pull it up, you copy and paste the link, and then you do a thing, and then you do some other stuff. And
right here.
Yeah.
I have you bookmarked, Jerry. I have you bookmarked. This is super, super simple. Okay, so there you are. Friday, February 5th. You've got some guy with a big head. Oh, that's me. Okay, that's me. So I'm gonna. Okay, perfect. Let me pause that. Let me send this over. So
Sure.
know what the
While
heck
you're
is going
finishing up that, my take on this, is that for so long, especially for those of us that have been around a couple of years or more, who sat through what we would call the crypto winter and did our best to accumulate during that time, and it felt like we were climbing uphill. There's a lot of things changing, right? More on that in my closing thoughts, but if you're ready to go, this Bitcoin for corporations was, to me, more than just a 2-day conference. It really made a statement to me that this is going to get out of hand quick. That's the simplest street language I can use. What's your take on this, Rob?
Well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack. So when it first came out, I actually saw it on not TD Ameritrade, Fidelity Digital Assets on their Twitter account. They said, "Hey, thanks to Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, we will be there at this conference." And I was like, "What conference? This doesn't make any sense." And then I went to MicroStrategy, and it was right there. It was talking about all the corporations are invited, all the different institutions are invited, and we're going to essentially show you exactly what we did by giving you, everybody, the Bitcoin playbook. So all the different corporations that are out there, no one wants to be first, right, Jerry? Nobody wants to be first, but god dang it, nobody wants to be last. So if I'm a corporation and I'm thinking to myself, crap, I've got all this money in my treasury and it's on fire because of quantitative easing and they're printing like crazy. What could I do? Well, there's this company called MicroStrategy, and they had first put in $425 million and bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Then they upped the ante and they put in $1 billion, and they made it into $2 billion since August. So that sounds pretty good, but I don't know if I can do that because those guys got a lot of different criteria and they got a lot of people helping them. If I just knew something that they could, I don't know, give me. and they gave it to them. They gave them the total playbook. So I was there for the 2 days, and they had all these speakers in there, and there was these nice PDFs that you could download. You could schedule calls with their internal team and talk to them like a white glove service. And that was on the first day. And the second day, they had everybody from Binance to Kraken to Gemini to Coinbase. Pretty much, this is what happened. If you didn't watch it and you're new, Michael Saylor sat there just like what you saw in that first one. And he was on the left side, and on the right side, he would bring in, all these different institutional custodial services. And he just asked them the questions like, who are you? What do you do? Why do you have this service? What can you do for all these customers? And what sets you apart? It was like an interview process the whole time. It was like a dog and pony show. And he laid them all out, and they all answered the questions. And it was fantastic. So now all these different institutions and the corporations like, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I can do this. And as they started to learn about it, especially what Ross Stevens was talking about there from NYDIG, they started to learn that, there's only 18.5 million. Okay, so I'm looking around, and of course it was a virtual event, but you can kind of get a feel of who was there, by different things that you could look into. And if I'm a corporation, I'm like, shoot, okay, well, MicroStrategy, they bought a boatload. And then Grayscale, who was just talking to us, they have like 500,000. And then, I know that guy. I know Pete, and I know the Quiche over there, and I know John, and all these guys and all these corporations, they're going to gobble up all this Bitcoin that I want to get into. I better start moving. And what it's going to do is it's going to create institutional or corporation FOMO. Now, like I said on my channel, I do not think that from day one, all these corporations are like, you know what, let's do it, let's hit it, let's move. That's not how they work. A lot of them, I think the majority, are going to take all this information back. They're going to give it to their legal department. The financial department's going to take a look at it and go, okay, we can do this. And then they'll kind of put things in order. There's another side of people who are just like, we already got this in order. We just wanted the playbook. And once they get the playbook, then they're going to hit the ground running. But I don't think that's everybody. I think you're going to see about 10% of people, of corporations really hitting it. You get the vast majority who are like, we'll see, we want to do this, but we got to make sure we're doing it right. And you got another side, maybe 10, 15% that will never do it because that's just how things work. And there was another interview, I forgot who it was. Oh, it was the chief financial officer and the person the legal counsel, and they talked about how from the time that they thought about this and Michael Saylor brought it to the whole board to the time they actually put the paperwork in and really got things moving, and as far as like what they actually were supposed to do, it was 6 months from the time that they started to the time that they bought all those Bitcoin underneath our noses on the OTC counter. So it took them 6 months. They're going to give these guys the playbook. It's going to cut it in half at minimum. So that's how I see it anyhow.
Right. And one of the absolutely incredible things that I thought came out of this was when Michael Saylor did the accounting on the cost for the due diligence, right? What it cost.
Hey, this is the first time that my internet's okay.
It's me. I apologize, folks. I am getting this corrected on Monday. All right. So anyway, the cost to have MicroStrategies get to a place where they could get to an OTC desk to acquire their Bitcoin cost MicroStrategies to the tune of $10 million. Mm-hmm. He just wiped that off the board for everybody. He just saved every corporation who wants to do this $10 million. That's huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he did it for free. This was an open source free thing. He didn't charge for this. He's got a vested interest in Bitcoin doing well, right?
Yeah.
But I thought that part was also pretty darn cool. I'm a big fan of Michael Saylor.
Yeah, Michael Saylor is a big fan of Michael Saylor.
That's true. Yeah.
I will say this. That guy's smart and he knows he's smart, and there is no shortage of confidence. That is for sure. But you have to say tip of the hat. Just go, you know what? You have really been one of the biggest catalysts besides Jerome Powell and COVID. I think Michael Saylor is one of the biggest catalysts of last year and going into this year for Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and digital assets.
Yeah, I definitely put him in the top 3 as well. And I think, what I really like because I appreciate that you're so open on your channel about how you see things and what you think about things and how you actually do things. Yeah. So with this information, right, with you being present, feeling the context of the verb, what's happening, the presentations, how does that influence your behavior as an investor in this space?
I get this question a lot because I just put out about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I put out my price predictions for 2021, which were pretty reserved because I'm a pretty reserved guy. I'm not big into sensationalism and telling you that Doge is going to $1. That's ridiculous. So now that I put out my price prediction, I also put out my exit strategy, which was, it really came down to 80-20 rule. And I said, I'm going to sell for my altcoins at a certain point, a certain price point. I'm going to sell 80, but I'm going to hodl 20. And the only one that I made an exception on was Bitcoin. And I did a 50-50 rule. And now with everything that's coming on the pipe, people are asking me, well, are you going to change your exit strategy because of all the different institutions that are coming in? You can look at it one of 2 ways. You can look at it like Bitcoin is going to go up forever, and it is going to hit the 150,000, 400,000, 650,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. I don't know what it's going to go up to. And you can look like that, and you're going to hold it forever and just transfer it off to your kids, because that's just what you're going to do. Or you're going to take a loan against it. That's fine. Or you can take a look at it and go, you know what? I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the future. I don't know the next natural catastrophe, the next pandemic, the next thing that is going on. So I am going to sell a little bit because I never know what's going to happen, and then go down that route. For me personally, because I was exposed to the 2017 bull run, and I think a lot of people here had been there at that point. In that time, everybody thought that it was going to the moon. Remember, Jerry? Everything was going to the moon, and it was never going to come down. It was so awesome. And then, people were saying, I remember when 20,000 was just a stepping stone to 50,000, which would lead us to 500,000. And then, of course, what happened? 19,800 something, whatever. Then around December 18th, you had the CME futures contracts go live, and it just kind of went to the wayside. And everybody's like, I don't understand, because we have these institutions, and there's this futures contract, and there's so much retail. You never know, and that's just it. You never know. So for me, I am going to still sell a little bit of my Bitcoin. Now, I may adjust that 50% depending on how things move, but I will quote Scott Melker, the Wolf of All Streets. He said, if you think that these institutions aren't going to sell at some point, you are out of your mind. They are at some point going to sell their positions because they know. And that's it.
I'll tell you what, I've had some varying different perspectives along the journey. For me, I kind of always go back to, I have a personal investment strategy. I have an exit strategy, or a strategy to capitalize on my investments. But it's based on my goals and my exact circumstances. And the truth of the matter is, every single one of us is different. Every one of us has different goals. Every one of us has different abilities, whether in responsibilities and this, that, and the other thing. And the journey for us, right? The journey for us is to take in as much information as we can and apply experience and best practices to create what's best for us. Like, I can really respect an 80-20 plan based on your biases and your history and your circumstances. For me, like, I'll be honest, there's no plan I have to sell anything. Now, I have sold stuff. Recently, I sold all of my XRP the second I found out that the SEC was going to sue them. I hit the market. Okay, great. That money did not go into my pocket to buy new tennis shoes or a nice house in El Paso with an indoor swimming pool and a YouTube studio. No, I did not. I bought Bitcoin. I bought Ethereum. I bought a couple of lottery tickets.
You mean Tron? You mean Tron, Jerry? That's what you meant.
No,
Tron.
Dude. Actually, I got Quant.
Okay.
And I got a token called XDC.
Okay.
And they're not big positions. I'm talking small positions. The big purchase was Bitcoin, and I bought as much as I could when it was at $19,000.
Okay. 19,000, sure.
And got those sitting on a platform earning interest every single day. I earn a little bit more Bitcoin. Now, again, here's what I'm feeling this. So I know other people got to be feeling this too. I spent so long with my portfolio value under the amount of capital I invested in the market. 2.5 years to be exact. The value of my portfolio was less than the amount of the US dollars I put into the market to acquire those assets.
Yeah.
That's all different now. And as a matter of fact, my portfolio value is higher. I've never had this much wealth. I've never had this net worth before. That wasn't tied up in a house or something that I couldn't do something with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having feelings about stuff. Like I'm thinking, boy, I'd kind of like to do this and I'd kind of like to do that. And I have to remind myself that we're just now getting started. Don't cash out, Jerry, and buy a new pair of tennis shoes. Don't cash out, Jerry, and take a 2-week vacation. You spent 2 years in purgatory for a reason. You know what I mean? You ate top ramen and continue to eat top ramen and beans and rice for a reason, because you want generational wealth, not just a nice fat portfolio. And so I'm thinking I'm not making any decisions to sell a crypto or take cash out of this market for this year. That could change. I mean, everything's subject to change depending upon the information that comes into play, right?
Right.
I think for the audience, it's really important to understand that it's not Rob's philosophy or strategy versus Jerry's strategy. It's Rob's got a strategy that works for Rob. Jerry's got a strategy that works for Jerry. And as what we all can do is learn from each other and take the best of each of those things and apply them to our situation so that we produce the best outcomes for ourselves. And there's a pro and con to every argument. You know what I mean? Like, do you sell a crypto or do you not sell a crypto? There's pros and cons to both sides, and they're both completely legitimate. And it boils down to your goals, your situation, and your stuff. And that's one of the things I really, really like about you and your channel is that you don't try to influence people one way or the other. You're just talking about what you see and how you're reacting in the marketplace. Talk us through how this week has been for you with the videos that you've created, the feedback you're getting from your audience. It has to be, well, I'll let you say it. What do you think your audience is getting from your stuff you put out this week? Because you've hit some home runs.
Depends on who you talk to. As far as my audience, some will tell you that Rob's a retard. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't listen to this guy. He's a moron. Which is like there's always those people in the comments, and then a lot of people are thank you so much. I do hear a lot though these days is hey, I'm new to the space and I really appreciate the level-headedness and you're not yelling at the screen. that's like the easiest thing.
Well, let's talk about folks that are new to the space, because I'll tell you, there are times where I get comments, whether it be direct messages on Facebook or Twitter, or comments on my videos, people talking about new stuff. And one of the things I thought was incredible that you did was that you actually spun up a server or bought cloud time, or however you facilitate that, and created a digital asset news, quote unquote, Dan teaches crypto. And you put out modules of real basic introductory stuff, and then kind of increase it's like a first grade, second grade, third grade. I mean, it's kind of like you're building an entire crypto curriculum through these modules. How cool is that? And what kind of response are you getting from your audience about Dan Teaches Crypto? By the way, I'm a subscriber. I'm a Dan Teaches Crypto student for full transparency, so everybody knows.
Well, two things. First of all, you still owe me a video for in the module for Millennial we talked about. Yeah, that's right.
Remind me and I'll do it. I promise I'll do it like this weekend if you remind me what the topic was.
The topic was how to find different trading pairs by going to like a CoinDeck or CoinMarketCap.
Okay.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, if anybody wants to sign up, it's danteachescrypto.com. It is only $99.95 per month. Just kidding. It's 100% free. So if you go to danteachescrypto.com, all you got to do is just put in your email and your first name, and you set your own password, and then just go through it. And I always say there's really a couple of things. First, the modules, it's like a buffet. I don't want you to go there and like digest everything. Just find the things that you want. I broke them up into 5 different areas: basics, safety, investing, reviews, and then the section called How Do I? Like, how do I buy Theta? How do I update my Nano Ledger? How do I buy Celcius? All that stuff, right? So when we first started it, first of all, it was an obstacle. You know what people said to me? What's the catch? Why is it free? No one does this for free. So tell me what you're getting out of this. I was like, I'm not getting anything, but I need you guys to understand. And then later on, as time goes on, that you will, come back here and learn some more things, and maybe you'll check out the YouTube channel. Because for me, I've been doing this for over a decade. Because for education websites, I already created one in 2009 where I help nursing students pass their clinical exam through an online education platform. And I created that like a while ago. So this one was just second nature to do, and it just did that. So the first time I had to put out a video and explain why it's free and why I did it. And one of the big reasons I did it is there's a prime example. Person sent me an email after they signed up. They were from India. They said, Rob, I want to thank you so much because, I only get, and he gave me an amount of how much he makes per week, which was in, what is the denomination of that? Rupees?
Indian rupee.
Rupee, right. And I did a conversion, and it was like, like per week, I think it was like $36 per week or something like that.
14 rupees to the dollar.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? It's built for people like that. You have people in India, people in the Middle East. I mean, people throughout the world. As long as they have an internet connection, they don't have to pay a dime, and it will just kind of foster the whole understanding of cryptocurrency digital assets, which will in turn help me moving forward. Actually, it'll help everybody. So that's what it was.
Well, I'm hoping, I'll be honest. I wanted to do something for Latin America, very similar to what you did. And I'm thinking the thing to do is to just get it translated.
Yeah.
You've already done the work.
Yeah. I've had people contact me and go, I want to translate. And then when I get it out to them, they never get me back because it's a lot of work. So something like that'd be great. And then with Dan Teaches Crypto, like we started that, I want to say 3 months ago, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, and as of, it was either yesterday or day before yesterday, we hit 5,000 subscribers. So, and
up to 10 modules. I think I just got the notification that module 10 just got finished and is available for consumption.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. And the only thing I ask is that, you just do the work and learn. And the other thing is tell 2 people.
Right.
So I don't have the marketing budget, nor do I really want to market it. So it's all word of mouth. So whoever says it would help me out a lot. Thanks.
Well, I think if people understood it's kind of been a labor of love for you. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on Dan Teaches Crypto, other than to let people know there is an incredible place to go. Go to Rob's channel, Digital Asset News, find the link, get to the link, and get people who are asking you about crypto. Have them check it out. It's free. It's great information. It'll set the stage and provide a context for anybody new to the space. And understand that Rob's not charging for this, but Rob's paying the server fees. Rob's paying to host it. Nothing is for free. Somebody's paying it for it somewhere, and it's Rob who's doing it. And I think you never talk about that. And I just think you should, my hat goes off to you. I'm tipping my hat saying thank you.
Because there are so many emails.
Yeah. Did I lose me? Am I lost?
He says, remember BitConnect?
Let's see, what do we got here? Can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. I thought it was
There's a lag.
Interneted. Sorry for the lag. So we've got some incredible stuff here. There seems to be a whole conversation going on in the chat that I'm not following very well, and I don't know if I need to, but it looks like a lot of people are having a good time with it. Let's transition just for a second, if we could, and talk about what do you see as the quote unquote risks that we have ahead of us, because I'll tell you, it's real easy to have everything is rosy kind of outlook. Yeah. And then you open your eyes to the greater financial world outside of crypto. And there are some, I'm seeing some stuff, and I'll talk about it in a minute. What are you seeing as risks that we should at least be cognizant of coming at us here in the near and midterm?
So there's a couple things. And one was what Bro XRP just brought up, BitConnect. The big thing that I see, it's not about what you make, it's how much you keep. And I think scams are one of those things that me and you, we hear about all the time. So that is the very first thing. The second thing is not so much about where we're going to be in a year. I think if you are an investor, and for however you want to categorize that, as long as you're just like a buy and hold type of person, you probably do pretty darn well, right? The ones that I am afraid of are the ones that I need to trade every day, all day, and leverage at 100x. Those are the ones I'm like, I don't think you're going to do that hot, honestly. So if you can just be an investor, you'll be fine. The thing that I worry about is what happens when people make that first, 200,000, 500,000, 2 million, 10 million, and they have all this money coming in. They're like, I'm rich. I mean, everything just opens up for you, right? And there's a multitude of problems. First of all, it's about what do you do when you don't have to go to work? What do you do when time isn't really an issue? What do you do when you really have no goals and things that you have to or must actually do? At first, people say, well, this is awesome. I'll just go to Costa Rica, hang out with Jerry, and do absolutely nothing. And I will tell you right now, that would suck. So you would never want to do that. Trust me, I know, I tried it, and it's just awful. And then the other thing is that all the money that you're going to make, you're going to think that you're a genius, which maybe you are, but I am not. And I will tell you, the one thing that I worry about is making bad investments. And we've all seen those people who have made it done really well in life, and they turn around and they do an investment and just kind of just goes off kilter, and they're like, what happened to all my money? I thought for sure I would be loaded forever. And
Right.
I just recorded a video today, and it's going to be titled "The Librarian, the Clerk, and the CEO." And it just goes to show you that just being a long-term holder, like this librarian in New Braunfels, she was able to amass millions. And then there was a story about a CEO who was making $750,000, lost it all, got fired from it. Well, because of the downturn, then he started to do a hedge fund, tumbled all the way down, and he was delivering pizzas at $7.29 an hour. So these are the things that I see. The steps to get there, like I said, just buy and hold. Unless you're holding something crazy, which there's like a ton of those. I can't even tell you. But my big thing is diversification. Jerry, what do you see as your biggest things? People that are talking to you about the biggest pitfalls.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not what people are talking. It's one of the things that I believe gives me some insight is that I don't spend that much time in the crypto space anymore. That's the truth. Most of my time is spent, I'm on Real Vision. I'm reading books like The Mobile Wave and The Price of Tomorrow, and looking at the global financial markets and the state of the world economy, right? And the things that I think are the things that worry me the most is the unprecedented debt creation. It's like the debt cycle isn't ending. When you have these levels of debt, and on the high side, and the historically low levels of productivity and wage inflation, it's a little scary, right? So there are these what I call existential threats outside of crypto that are going to affect crypto. And so that gives me pause for concern as it pertains to like how I would handle emotionally if we should happen to go through another March of 2020 where every market is down by 50 or 60%.
Yes.
I'm preparing myself for that. And one of the ways that I'm preparing for that is to continue my low-cost lifestyle, even though, and I'm not bragging, my portfolio is fat. You know what I mean? I've got a fat portfolio. I got baller money now. Actually, I got FU money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the truth of the matter is is that the markets could turn because there are risks in hundreds of trillions of dollars that are levered in and integrated with debt in such a way that it's kind of like a house of cards. And the Fed may not be able to save us. Case in point, look at what happened with GameStop. They had to stop markets or the whole damn thing could crumble. That's pretty fragile. We're in a very fragile financial market. People need to understand that, even with crypto at all-time highs, even with the NASDAQ at all-time highs, even with the Dow Jones at all-time highs, S&P all-time highs. We have to understand it's very fragile. So don't get ahead of your skis as it pertains to how you live your life, because I'm telling you, 2009s happen, March of 2020s happen, 2012s happen, and they don't come with a lot of warning.
Right. And
that's the threat I see.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about before. Remember we were chatting back and forth about, where to put everything. I mean, money, right? You can do fiat, but some people say, well, the dollar's on fire. So, okay. So what about the pound? Or what about the yuan? Or what about this and that? Well, who knows, right? Yeah. So then you say, well, I'll just put it into cryptocurrency. But you just brought up a good point. Well, what happens with all the different crumbling of the infrastructure around? Maybe there's nothing really to do. So the thing that I always think about is, what could I potentially do to hedge my bet against all this craziness that is going around? And we talked about it, and we came to the conclusion of assets. Assets are always good to have around, whatever you want that to be. And then some people will say, well, gold is old and whatever else. Hey, gold still works. I own gold. I own silver. Also, property and land and investment houses, those types of things. Those are great to have. They're not very liquid, as it were, but it can really get you out of a jam in case things start to really fall apart. And it's just best to have things just kind of, around in a circle of where you can kind of position yourself in case one just totally, takes a tumble.
Well, I'll tell you, the best position any of us can put ourselves in is to be debt free, right? To be able to move geographically, that is, and C, don't be so attached to outcomes. We have to remain flexible, right? And amenable to the environments around us, because it doesn't matter how much I don't like something. My like or dislike of a situation or a circumstance is not going to necessarily change it. I can just try to apply best practices and understand first principles to say, okay, this is how I can address it. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at. Hey, Rob, do you remember Bitta Avenue?
Yeah.
Well, Bitta's here. Bitta's got some questions for you.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hey, Brady, I have not been following the chat. I've been just attuned into Rob. He's kind of like the Pied Piper for me. He starts talking and I just think I'm watching. I just tune the whole world out. I'm watching Rob. If I missed something, Brady, put it on the screen for me. But folks, I'd like to welcome Bitta Avenue, our lady on the street, our millennial investor. Hey, Bitta.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
everybody.
Bitta.
How are you guys? Happy
Good.
Friday.
Happy Friday. So tell us what you thought of what we talked about so far, and do you got anything to, any questions for Rob or any general statements that you'd like to make?
Well, I've been following him for quite a while now, and I've been adjusting my my investment strategy just based on kind of a combination of things. And even though you, Jerry, are completely, we're gonna not sell anything. We're gonna use it to earn interest and things like that. And then he's the opposite, not the opposite, but on the other side, where he's gonna liquidate a certain amount so that things like that. So the one thing that it had me thinking about that is, I told myself, okay, I am actually going to sell certain percentage of certain coins that I have if they hit a certain price point. But what I'm saying to myself is, you're not going to sell it just to hold on to the cash. Like, so I'm trying to prepare as far as, okay, where is it going? So now I have went past, am I going to sell or not? I'm like, okay, this is the amount that I'm going to need, but what project am I going to put it in, or what asset am I trying to hold? So that's the thought process I'm on right now. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, that's a great one. And that goes back to what Jerry was talking about. Everybody's needs are different, right? So Bitta, whatever she wants to do does not correlate to what Jerry wants to do, or what Nam 305 or what Brady or Tony Morissette wants to do. So it really just comes down to, what do you want to do with all of your newfound wealth? Do you just want to just cash out and go, I'm going to Costa Rica, I don't care? Or do you want to say, I want to buy up to just have.
Is that Rob? Bitta, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I thought maybe it was
me. I thought it was me. I'm having the worst week of internet in the history of internet this week in Costa Rica, and it's not me. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Bitta, I'm so glad that I caught this. I just had this observation when you came on and started speaking, and this is the observation. The observation was that in a very short period of time, you've acquired a tremendous amount of insight, because just the way you spoke of your own position and how you are putting the pieces of the puzzle together that fit your life, your goals, your purpose, tells me that this channel is doing something. Rob is doing something, and I couldn't be any more proud. I'm proud of you. I feel kind of like a big brother to you, and I'm just really proud that you're sucking this stuff up. Hey, Rob, you cut out on us, man. Welcome back.
Yes, here we are. So I'm gonna sit right next to my router. So we'll see how this works out.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about your wealth candle that's above your head.
Oh, that wealth candle. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't own anything in this house. This is my wife's house. I just live here.
Smart man. That's exactly right. So, Bitta, anything else on your calendar, on your list of stuff, observations, talking points?
So the question I have is, I guess, for the people that are just starting to come in, because a lot of these, especially the altcoins, a lot of them have went up tremendously. I remember Rob talked about synthetic and also Aave. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I actually went and looked at it and got a little bit of both. And they've already more than doubled from when I got them. And so what do you say, or what advice do you give to people that are that might feel like, okay, it's still it's went up so much, is it still a good, how do you evaluate, is there still some gain left in this asset? How should I get in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a tough question, and this is a question that I thought was a couple of months ago. I thought was pretty easy. I would just take a look at it and go, well, this is how much it was before, in the last halving, this is how much it is now. But now there's so many new ones, it's just impossible to say. And this kind of comes into the camp of when I met Pat Ackerman. And Pat Ackerman, he is a statistician. He works for a pretty large chain of hotels, and his whole job is just to collect data and stats and how it all plays into the actual business. And his big thing is talking about Metcalfe's law.
Yeah.
And he talks about Metcalfe's law, and he says, look, he goes, the more connections that you have, the greater your value of your company will be. He goes, and he used, it was an example that Metcalfe was, I forgot his first name. I want to say John Metcalfe. That doesn't sound right. That sounds like John McAfee. but he was given a presentation at MIT, and he said for Metcalfe's law, you have to look at Facebook. It's a very easy one to look at. He says in the very beginning, in around 2008, 2009, there really wasn't much going on because there wasn't much connections going on. There wasn't that many users. But as the users came in, it was directly proportional to the amount of revenue that Facebook was able to generate. And he surmised the more type of people that you have, or the more type of connections that you have, the more people using your platform, the greater your value will be. And you can consider value whatever you want it to be. You can call it monetary, you can call it any kind of thing. So he took a look at that, and what Pat did is he took that same type of information and he applied it to the Voyager token. And he said, look, he goes, and he plotted on a graph. He goes, the amount of people that are coming into just Voyager, as an example, as it's a new brokerage for crypto and digital assets. He goes, you can plot it on the graph. The more people come in, the more the token will actually rise. But the big question is, why does it rise? And it really has to come to it down is, does the token or does the crypto actually do something? Because he asked me a question off camera. He goes, Rob, why do you invest in these things? I was like, because they're going to go up. I'm a genius. He goes, what do they do? And I go, well, they don't do anything yet, but they're going to do something. He goes, look, man. He goes, you really have to take a look at and just see what is it doing right now. Do you know the reason why Ethereum went up so much in the 2017? Is because everybody's using it for the ICO craze. They were building on top of it. It's the same thing that's going on right now. He goes, did you know why Binance coin went up so much? I'm like, I don't know, because Binance? He's like, no, it's because Binance had a specific use for that. It was for their credit, their debit cards. It would decrease the actual transactional cost that you did. He goes, now take that and look at Celcius. Do you know why that went up? And I was like, same thing. More people actually has utility and people actually using it for something. And he goes, and now look at Voyager. So, Bida, to answer your question in a long-winded way, is, of course, take a look what the token is actually can do, and is it actually being used for that specific purpose? And there's a lot of tokens out there that are like, we're doing this, we can do this, but you're not doing it yet. And that really is the highest form of speculation.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. So where would you, like, I personally look at CoinMarketCap to see like what's going on, like see some data and things like that. Do you go somewhere else to collect these information, or do you have like a go-to place other than that? So
this one's tough. This is where it gets tougher, because I asked Pat, I go, well, how do I do that for every other cryptocurrency that's out there? He says, well, you have to figure out exactly how many people are using it and who is actually, collaborating and doing these things. He goes, the only way you're going to know that, because they're not publicly traded companies, so they don't have to report anything. He goes, so you just have to take a look at what is going on. So he goes, fundamental analysis, same type of thing. Who is using this token? How many people are actually using it? He did give me a good point, though. He goes, the way that we measure Bitcoin and its use case is you can take a look at wallets. So the more wallets that are created, the more that there actually is, in use, Metcalfe's law, connections, and so on and so forth. Ethereum, you can take a look at all the ICOs that were built on it now on top of all the DeFi craze, because Synthetics, Aave, I think they're still building Ethereum. Stable coins, USDC and Tether, they're still built on Ethereum. They're ERC20 tokens. So that is it for that. Now, if you go down the line, let's take a look at VeChain. So VeChain, it has partnerships. How many of those partnerships are they actually doing right now? And that would be like a deep dive to see like who is actually using it. I know it is being used, it is being trialed, but I don't know exactly how much. And that bit is the toughest part.
Yeah,
for tokenomics, I guess.
I mean, YouTube and Twitter are very helpful in trying to find information for different projects. But I also went back and looked at Ari's conversation you had on the chain with Jerry. And she had, interesting ways of doing research. But some of these smaller tokens that are brand new, there's really no way of finding that much information on them. So like I always am curious, like how do you, the bigger ones you'll be able to find, because everybody's, tweeting and doing YouTube blog on them. But the smaller ones, it's a lot harder to evaluate. So
sure,
it's tough. Jerry, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, I've developed a little method, and it's flawed. but it's the best I've got to work with right now. Outside of the larger cap coins, what I start looking for are the players involved. For instance, like a classic example would be any company, this like a year and a half ago, any company that was in the quote unquote Ripple X Spring incubator, I'd look at that project.
Yeah, that's it. And then, go ahead.
I think his internet stopped.
So Bit, I was going to tell you, on the website that I have, the Dan Teaches Crypto, I did a video.
Funding them. Sorry about that. I'm back.
He's back.
Jerry's back.
I would. So I'd look at like the X Spring incubator companies. Am I back?
You're back.
Am I back?
Back.
Okay, great. So I look at X Spring. I look at companies in X Spring. Here's one to look for. Any company, any blockchain project that is associated with Coinbase Ventures, right? I found a great proof of work protocol called the Near Network. Near Protocol. Nobody knows about this. You can find. Sorry, am I back again?
It's
Anyway.
funny. It's like the Max Hedging from the 80s.
Anyway, if you start looking at who the players are and what companies are coming in under their umbrella, it's kind of like associating. It's kind of like, success through association. It's not guaranteed to be successful, but it sure does cut out a lot of stuff because those companies did their due diligence. Coinbase does their due diligence, whether we like them or not. Ripple did their due diligence. Andreessen Horowitz does their due diligence. You know what I mean? They don't put money into projects that have a cute CEO with a nice smile and a cool white paper. You know what I mean? You can find some gems potentially and get in very low and have low expectations, and you could do really well. 100x type stuff in 3-4 years type of deal. But those are, you're way out there on the risk curve. You know what I mean? If Bitcoin is the zero part, the soundest, most secure part of the risk curve, then something like casino coin is way out there. You know what I mean? We don't know if it's going to work or not going to work.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then let me just elaborate a little bit.
Please do, because my internet sucks.
It's okay. So I'm going to try to do this. There's an option here to share my screen. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Screen sharing is easy with 2 monitors. Don't show the steps again. Share screen. I want to share this. Can everybody see that?
You will in a second. Now you will.
Okay. So Bitsa, this was a video that I did with this gentleman right here, Ian Bellina. I don't know if some people will remember him. Some people will say, this guy's a shill because, he backed all these projects. Well, I'm not here to talk about that. Me and Ian talk. Actually, I asked Ian to his face, Ian, let's address the shill issue. That was like one of the first questions. And but what he said is when he came on, because my question was, Ian, how did you find all these great projects? And he did. In 2017, he was like the king of ICOs. I said, how did you do it? And he gave me 5 factors. And this is the one that I put for module 4 reviews. And he said like this, there's 5 things. There's 5 basic areas to really take a look at. Read the white paper. Do the summary. Does it make sense? Does it actually have a use case, right? If it's a blockchain for scented candles, that doesn't make any sense, right? If it's a blockchain to track any kind of medication, okay, that makes sense. I can see that. Or for a currency or for a DeFi. The second thing was look at the team, just like what Jerry was talking about. Do they have a good balance of experience? And when I did this, you can see new projects come out and you look at their team and it's like two guys who've never really put together a business. I'm sure they're really smart and they can do things, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pass on you because I'm looking to minimize my risk, like Jerry said. The third one was financial backing. Do they have deep pockets? Like if you got somebody like Dapper, what's his name? Tim Draper.
Tim Draper.
Yeah, if you got Tim Draper over there, it's pretty good. You got good financial backing. He's on a lot of different ones. So that's just one more thing. Activity. And this, I think, plays into Metcalfe's law. How active, how many people are actually working on the projects? Look at the GitHub page. If they're open source and they actually launched the project. And the last one was liquidity ratio. And this is the daily trading volume divided by the market cap. And we did this criteria and we looked at Theta, because Theta at that time was one of my picks. I really thought was going to do really well. I still think it's going to do really well. And we took a look at it. The market cap was 750 million. We divided by the daily trading volume of 98 million, and it was about 8%. So some are so whacked out of place, and you'll see these in like, market cap 1,000, 2,000, where it's just a big bunch of pump and dumps. So if you take a look at those 5 things, chances are you're going to find some pretty good stuff. So that's it. And then the next one, hold on. Let me stop this one. There's one more I want to show you. Where are you? Okay. And how do I share my screen again? Oh, there it is.
You just press the share screen button and then I'll throw it up on the viewer.
There it is. And it is this. So this is more for traders. And this is the things that I've been talking about on my channel. This is Trade the Chain. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
So look at this. So this was created by the TIE. And the TIE, it is a data analytics firm, and they work mostly for the big hedge funds. Mm-hmm. Alex Massioli, who works for BQuant Institutional Services, he had him because he was using that same product. He goes, hey, give me a scaled down version for retail. He said, sure. And what they do is, I think we can all agree that this market moves on news, right? I mean, you have Elon Musk putting a stupid Doge meme and all of a sudden everything blows up. Or you have some new listing and everything blows up. Or you have some kind of like hack and everything, falls to the wayside. So what this does is it crawls the internet, it crawls the blogs, and it's also one of only 4 companies that has a direct API into Twitter. And it takes a look at all that and it gives you, hey, where did it go? See this thing right here?
Sentiment signal is great. That's a wonderful tool.
Yeah. But look at this projected range. So they can tell you with 90% assurance that it's going to be somewhere in this range within the next hour. Wow. -6 to 7. This isn't a really good example, actually. Sometimes I've seen, like, this is pretty good. Where'd it go? Nervos, not like I've never heard of these things. And this would be something to look at. But I've seen some where it's like, you'll have like a -0.5 and an upside of like a 0.8%. You're like, oh, I should take a look at that, whatever that is. So that's really all I got for you.
Wow, I like it.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
I will have to go look for that. Yeah, that's very helpful when you're looking at stuff because you're still learning to understand how all of this stuff is put together. And it's also frustrating that you can't find all the projects all in one exchange. They have to have like 50 different wallets and exchanges to keep it together. So we need to figure out a way to keep track of it outside of just an Excel spreadsheet. So we need a project for that.
We need Jerry. That's what we need. We need Jerry to get in there and do all this stuff for us.
Okay, Jerry had a great idea for a spreadsheet. Jerry couldn't figure out how to put the first macro in. I had to go to Twitter and say, help, somebody help me, please. Brady, do we have any questions that I've missed from the chat? Again, I've been kind of so focused on the conversation that I haven't really paid any attention. And I apologize, folks, that if stuff's been going on and just went by my.
I think people might, if I saw somebody asking for a link, let me drop the link over to Brady and he can drop it in the chat. Or actually, no, I'll drop it. Actually, I don't know if I can drop it in.
No, you got to do it through the private chat. See the vertical toolbar on the extreme right-hand side of the page?
Yes.
You go to private chat, throw it in there. Brady will put it in the thingy.
Look at that.
That's that's the only downside, in my opinion, to StreamYard is that the in-studio guests do not have access to the community chat that the rest of the world sees.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are you going
to do?
Maybe this would be a good opportunity for me to. No, I'll do that at the end. I'll do that in my final thoughts. Any topics we want to close on? I mean, geez, it was actually a real packed show. We've got a crypto market exploding, right? We've got a wave of money coming now that we had only dreamed of 3 years ago. This whole market is going to change. This is not your big brother's or your mom's crypto market. It's changing. It's changing in front of our eyes because the participants are changing. And the dollars that are coming with these new participants is actually staggering. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you, Brady. Trade the chain.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Dan Teaches Crypto. I love it.
And then there's just for clarity, that is an affiliate link. So if you use that, you get it's a 14-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. And the thing that I forgot to talk about was that I always look at nuts and bolts and I think to myself, this is what it is. But in all honesty, the thing that makes Trade the Chain great is the community, because they've got they're approaching on 1,000 members now, and they're really supportive in there. And the second thing is that to get the most out of it, you're going to connect it to a Slack app, and it's going to give you alerts on your phone. So if something gets like listed on an exchange, you're going to know. If there's some kind of big breaking story, you're going to know. And it kind of aggregates the best stuff for you. That's the big one.
That's cool.
Yeah. So my question here.
Go ahead.
So here's my question for Bits and Jerry. What do you guys think is going to be your number? I always like to ask this question. What's your number one token for 2021? Your number one crypto? Like, and I remember, Jerry, we played this last time. I think Bitta was here too. And we said, if you had what was it? If you had to put all your money into one, and that coin was the one that you knew was going to go, or just to go somewhere, it wouldn't collapse because you had to take care of your family or someone was sick or whatever else. You put all that money, where would that money go to? And you couldn't divest into other ones. It could only be one.
Bitta, you go first because mine's real easy.
Oh, I think nowadays I'm really leaning toward Cardano. So
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like that one.
Mine is a simple 2-syllable coin. Not a lot of people have heard about it outside of our little community. It's called Bitcoin, and it's just right now it's that simple. No other. I don't see any other coin being put on publicly traded corporations' balance sheet as a treasury reserve asset. I don't.
No, I don't either. It's right. You know what, like with Bitta, what she said, with Cardano, I agree with you on that one. I probably would go Bitcoin because I'm safer. But I will say this though, you always invest in people, right? So we can't do that with Bitcoin because we don't know Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't think it's Craig Wright. It could be, but who knows? It could be Elon Musk. It could be Jerry. I don't know. But you always invest in people. And with Charles Hoskinson, the way that he is driven, because if you've ever read that book, The Infinite Machine, where it talks about how he got booted out of Ethereum, I've been booted out of companies. And I can tell you, it really does drive you for a very long time. So if you have that guy, Alex Mashinsky from Celcius, you've got Steve Ehrlich on Voyager, and Dr. Gavin Wood on Polkadot, you invest in people. I could see that. And I'm sure everybody else out there, you probably got your lady or your guy who you invest into. When you invest in people, usually that's what gives the best returns.
So are you going with Cardano?
No, I'm just kidding. If to me to make it brain dead easy, I would have probably gone for a Cardano if it wasn't for MicroStrategy and their big seminar that they had. When I went through 2 days of that, it really was a rah-rah session for Bitcoin. And you look at it, you're like, how can this possibly fail with what's going on? It just made no sense to me, especially with the big institutions like NYDIG going, yeah, we got 5 billion now, we're gonna have 25 billion. Then you had Fidelity Digital Assets go, yeah, we sounded a survey. We got 7 trillion assets under management, but 95% of corporate respondents said they're gonna start to carry digital assets. You're like, okay, there you go.
Yeah, I saw that video that you did. That was very interesting. It's a lot going on. It was shocking, actually.
So, Bitter, I'm looking at the clock. Let's go ahead and wrap this. Let's get Bitter's final thoughts. Bitter, you going to be able to hang out for the after show in the green room for a little bit?
Yes, I'll be around for a little bit.
Final thoughts, young lady.
Final thought, like I said in the beginning, I am working on trying to figure out if I cash out what I'm going to put it in, and I am hoping to get some sort of a tiny farmland or something for myself. So
perfect.
Looking into that. Yeah.
Right on. Right on. We'll see you backstage soon, young lady. Hey, Rob.
Best answer I've heard tonight right there. Farmland.
Yeah.
That's the real store of value, honestly.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up, man?
Your final thoughts, my brother, before I put you back in the green room.
My final thoughts is every so many weeks, days, hours, I guess you could say, I realize how much I don't know. There's so many things that are going on in this space, and you think, like, I did an exit strategy video just 6 months ago, and I had to change the whole thing. I had to change the thing. I was like, this makes no sense. So it is amazing how much you actually learn, and you have to just kind of take a step back and go, I will get the information as it comes in. I will judge accordingly. But yeah, it's amazing how much I am still lost in.
We are definitely ever evolving. Brady, please do me the honor of bringing yourself in and getting us with your final thoughts. Rob, I'll see you back in the green room in a minute if you can hang out for the after show.
Party
if
time.
not, I completely understand. Brady, producer extraordinaire, sir, your final thoughts on tonight's show.
I think I need to turn up the irresponsibility dial on my asset purchases, because it's almost getting like alien abduction absurd. Like if you tried, after being in the space for, I think, going on 8 years, I feel like I'd have an easier time convincing someone that, aliens landed and gave me something. Like it's kind of absurd in a believable way if you've been consuming this day in, day out, over and over again. And I think the deeper in we go, the broader we understand the implications of the assets that we hold and what they can actually do for us. So it's like we have to rethink how to capitalize them without losing them. And I think it's almost like exit is too biased. I don't know. It's more like well, it's not how much you get, it's what you keep. So I guess that's my final story, and I'm sticking to it.
Right on. Well, Brady, thank you so much, my friend. I'll see you in the green room in just a minute. Folks, I'll tell you that, the climate that we're in now, the next year and a half, 2 years, there are going to be a lot of things defined. And we have the opportunity, those of us that have been here for a little while, and even those folks that are just now joining us, to still get in ahead of what would be traditionally stated the big money. And it's
So I think that means Jerry's coming back soon, and here he is.
I apologize. Folks, I'm not going to go into, I had a whole script. I had a whole dialogue ready for you. I'm going to save all of that for another video.
You mean we can't hear it? How
No,
about the short version?
It's the short version is, folks, I've started the Beyond Moon Investing Club Patreon group. Link below.
Yes.
Come join the movement. We're going to design specific tailor-made investment strategies, exit strategies, wealth building techniques, estate planning, walk you through everything that you're going to need to know to address the wealth that your crypto investments are going to bring you, as well as help you learn how to stay rich even after crypto. Important stuff. Anyway, I want to thank my guest, Rob, from Digital Asset News, our lady on the street, Bit Avenue, producer extraordinaire, Brady. Folks, Patreon group's first meeting is tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And the folks that are tuning in from Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We'll see you back here next Friday night for another Market Conversations. Till then.